Okay, Miguel, we're to your favorite part. We're talking about the trade market.
Uh,
So,
you've heard awful trades from me all day. So
you're not wrong.
I'm so
They've been
ready.
terrible. They've been terrible suggestions.
God awful. Someone might like him. Someone deep in the algorithm might be like, yeah, can't forget he. Some OKC Minnesota fan.
Maybe. Um, there hasn't. I mean, like Siakam's kind of his name's been floating around. DeJounte's been floating around mostly to LA, even though I don't think that moves the needle for them personally. Um, I don't know. It's I think it's a bit too early, as we know. Trade talk usually doesn't, heat up until the end of January, kind of like right around the deadline. And of course, there's always the trades that come out on the deadline that nobody saw coming. Um, it'll be interesting to see like how much the landscape of the league, shifts, this year. I know last year was a pretty exciting one, but we don't have too many disgruntled stars that like are looking to be moved as we did last year. Um, but the trade market is always so unpredictable. Is there anything at this point that you all would like to see
Hot take, I think Trae Young gets moved.
by the trade deadline?
Yes. No, like during the trade deadline. Yeah, I guess you could say by
Interesting. I would feel like
hot
he's
take.
an off-season move. I would
Hot
be a bit
take.
shocked if they move him mid-season.
I
Hot take.
I think Trey stays. I think Clint and DeJounte both go somewhere else. I think they start
Why
to
keep Trey if you're going to do that though? That just seems pointless.
because Clint is you have Okongwu already there, and I feel like you can find pieces already better set. And I feel like the experiment between him and DeJounte is like, two guard sets. Like find a wing to produce with him. You know, I don't think
I
there's a
mean, they
need.
have Jalen Johnson now.
So it's like I feel like that's the direction you go. You have him at the two, and you work with everything else around that.
Will be interesting. Yeah, Trey. That Trey leaving Atlanta talk is going to get really loud
Mm-hmm.
really soon. If not by the deadline, I think after this season. Can you build around Trey? I think that's becoming the question.
If he doesn't cut off ball, no. If he's going to continue to be the ball dominant guard that he is, that works for Luca, but I don't think it works for him. I think he has to watch some Steph and be like, hey, how can I get open off ball and create, gaps in the defense that way? But I don't think that he's willing to do that right now. So I don't think at this point, no, in his career.
So, what is the difference between Trey Young and LaMelo Ball?
LaMelo Ball 6'4".
LaMelo, yeah. And I
So he's
think
taller. So because he's
yeah.
taller, bigger.
He can guard more. He can guard more, even though he doesn't, he might not put in the effort to guard more. He can guard more positions.
They play similarly. And LaMelo, I don't think we have the same conversation around LaMelo being so ball dominant that we do around Trey. But I feel like they're essentially the same threat in their ball dominance. So that's why I was curious about that, because you rarely hear people say LaMelo needs to play more off ball. Um, but we say that with Trey, but I think it's because Trey just has to work so hard, being so ball dominant to get his points in. I mean, yeah, you can be an assist machine all you want to, but I don't. Trey's not surrounded by talent to where the assists are so easy that it opens up his game. So I think that's. But I don't know what team you put Trey on that puts him in the best position. Like who do you put him alongside where you can see the best of Trey Young? That I think is the question that has really yet to be answered. But I do think it won't be in Atlanta at some point in the next year.
Did Trae go to Brooklyn?
I
Orlando,
don't
maybe?
dislike Brooklyn, to be honest, because Brooklyn does not have a true point guard.
Say Phoenix. I mean, they got no point guard.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh. I mean, they ain't gonna have a
Ugh.
bench. They ain't gonna have no bench, but
Mm-mm.
They're gonna have to trade Beal real quick, and I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think
Yeah,
they're
no.
it
because
just wouldn't make sense for them.
D-Book is Phoenix, so you can't trade him.
If Phoenix did not have Bill, I think Trey would make a lot of sense. I don't think that's a move you make now,
Yeah.
but I do think they should have opted for a point guard when they moved CP. I do think they should
Mm-hmm.
have done that
Mm-hmm. I
because
just, oh,
yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
no, go ahead.
no. No, I was just saying, I think Trey would fit best on one of those young teams that are up and coming. So, like in Orlando, Houston, Brooklyn, something like that.
I like Brooklyn. I'm not gonna lie to you. Trey in Brooklyn makes a lot of sense, and Atlanta could get a nice little haul of talent.
Mm-hmm.
You won't have your franchise player, but you'll have some talent to scrap something together, depending on what you wanted to do. But Trey with McHale, Claxton, Cam out there,
Mm-hmm.
I like
What
it,
about
and it
trade
gives.
to Utah? That's a big vacancy out there, and they
Back with John
support
Collins. Yeah.
John Collins. He's got Kessler as a good rim roller.
Not
He's got
terrible.
Lowry out in that corner.
You could trade all. I would trade all my guards if I was Utah. I would trade all my guards for Trey.
Deontay George, Sexton.
Colin Sexton. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I yeah yeah. I give my point guards up. You know what? No, if I was Utah, I wouldn't do that. Actually, I wouldn't give up Clarkson if I didn't have to. If he didn't want to go,
try and
but
stash him too.
but I would give up. I would give up those two guards, and let them fight for a spot in Atlanta.
Yeah,
Yeah, interesting. And I don't know if Trey gets moved, but I would like to see him move. Me personally, not gonna lie. This is a personal question for me and Miguel, but actually we open to suggestions. We're gonna try to talk to the GM and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
who does Milwaukee need to go get? What we know what type of player, but who's the player? Who are the options that
I,
we need to go get? And who are
I'm
our assets?
I'm gonna say it right now. We got to go get this guy on the bench and put him in the game. His name is Andre Jackson. I think
He
that
should play more.
I think truly a lot of the pieces that we were looking for were injured and not playing, and Jay Crowder is now coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like our bench just gets deeper. We build that continuity that we need, and I feel like you just need chemistry at this point. So I feel like moving pieces might be hustling backwards for us at this point. Even though me personally, I always talk moves and I always talk shop about where we have to go and what we have to move. I feel like those defensive pieces that we need and those spark plugs that we need are right there that we just don't play enough. And I feel like this is that time of the year where it's like give them those minutes, give them that burn to make mistakes so that come playoff time, it's like they have their OGs to tell them like this is what you do, this is how you guard this. Don't jump, don't put your arm here because James Harden's gonna hook. Like give them those tools now so that come playoff time we actually have an X factor we can play. Because every playoff, I feel like we always have the same seven man rotation that gets dry. We can't produce enough stops. We don't have enough life, no energy in our legs, and I feel like we have to trust some of our young guys to do some of the work. But that's just my long-winded answer to say I think we stay put.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think that the Bucks need to make a move.
I don't disagree. But I think if there's a move out there to be made, the only reason why I would be as a fan, I'm hesitant to. I want the young guys to get reps, but I'd be lying, and as Bucks fans, we'd all be lying if we thought this was a long window that we have. Like it's just not. Given how strong Boston looks, given how the parity of talent in the league is starting to become more and more spread out. It's a risk you take to win now. And I think that you just have to be in that mentality. The win now mentality is what made us trade for Dame, but you
Mm-hmm.
still have to build the team. So if there's no viable option, then yeah, get our young guys some reps so come playoff time, they at least have some experience and some confidence for us to just give it our best shot. But if there is a wing out there that becomes available, trying to think, and the biggest thing is youth. All the people that, if they're not youth that's on our bench, like Crowder's older, Connaughton's older. That we're in this flux of like either we have young guys or we have old guys, and it's hard to find consistency in that. I feel like, and I think we, especially defensively, we need a consistent presence on ball presence more specifically. I don't know who the guy is though. I don't know who the player is, but I think if there's a 3-and-D wing out there that's either in their prime or they're considered a defensive specialist, we need a guy that can guard the best guy night in and night out. We don't have that guy this year, and I think that has shown itself a lot. Like, team defense is terrible nonetheless, but I think we don't have a guy that at the point of attack can slow down the other team's top guy. And that's really hurt us as well. But yeah.
I think if there's one guy that we need to get that I'm not sure if they're going to be available is Alex Caruso. I think that's the only name that I'd find a way to pull a trigger for if they're going to shut it all down there. If there's a way that we can get Caruso to Milwaukee, that is like one of the only guys I'm like, I'll get rid of a couple of names of guys that I like.
And I don't think it's going to cost that much. I don't think we're going to have to give up that much if Chicago blows it up. But
that's the thing. They're so dumb that they won't. They're one of the worst franchises I've ever seen. That they just live in. It's like Milwaukee when we had Epke Udo and Larry Sanders were balling for an 8 seed to get shellacked by LeBron in Miami. It's like, what are we doing? Just lose. We're in a conference with the Celtics, with the Sixers, and the Bucks. And now we have Indiana coming up, and now we have the Knicks. I'm going to go into a dark hole for like 5 to 7 years until the next Wemby comes, since we missed out on this one. And I'm going to try again in like 5 to 7 years. Like, I don't know. I don't know why they try. Just pack it up, tank, and then get the better pieces. Shell out all of your guys for draft capital and try again. It didn't work.
I think what stopped the Bulls would be completely selling if there was a large market for LaVine and DeRozan. I don't think there's a large market, which makes it tough for them to blow it up, because you're not going to move all your core pieces and then just keep your main talent with nothing around them. Like, even if you are going to tank, that's just you lose all your assets for what, essentially. So I think that's where Chicago is. If there's a market that opens up for DeRozan and LaVine, they're going to clean house.
Yeah.
But it depends on the market opening for those two. So I don't know who wants LaVine or who needs LaVine right now. Don't know who wants or needs a DeRozan right now. Whether that be long term or whether that be for the near future, don't know. But yeah, I think that's what's holding Chicago back. But I agree, if Caruso's available, let's send Connaughton. We might have to give up Marjon. I would hate to do that, but if we can keep Ajax, I could live with it. And we might have to give up one more piece, but if it meant having Caruso for a playoff run, I'd absolutely take it.
I low-key keep Pat, and I'd almost there's one. If they could take Robin Lopez off our hands, I mean, we love him, but keep Pat for just spacing, and then Rolo, he's got Benny the Bull he gets to go interact with.
He would.
I think the Bulls have to think, what's going to make us money? I think Robin Lopez will do that while they live in their hole for 5 to 7 years.
At least Kobe White has come on for them. That's been nice to see this season, for sure. But